Hey everybody, I apologize. I am here. It is late. It's 9:44 or 12:44 where you are, and I had technical difficulties regarding the personal hotspot that I use on my iPhone. For some particular reason, I don't have a problem when I'm in Georgia. When I'm back here, I've had this problem. The trouble is, I've been here for so seldom time over the past 3 months that I haven't had to deal with fixing the personal hotspot connectivity issue. Finally, I did do that. So what all that gobbledygook means is that I can now get my watch page up here and look at the settings for the watch page as I would have been able to do in Georgia and note that the stream is good. I was able to do that before. Why it happened that I couldn't do this and not use the personal hotspot properly is beyond me. But the problem is solved, and I was determined to get the problem solved so that, hey, how you doing? I was determined to get the problem solved so that I can go back to normal operation regardless of where I'm at. And I've achieved that. So that's what happened here. Now, I'm back. If you may notice, I am now back in the Bay Area for a while. I don't know how long. But, and going through, contemplating change. But the changes I'm contemplating, or that thought process, is not what this vlog is about. It might be at some point. Maybe I'll veer off into that. But right now, I am making up for lost time because I intended to start at 8:30. I am obviously way behind. So I apologize to those who were sticking around and saying, hey, what's going on? Or where is he at? Here I am. Here it is. And that was the problem. So that's and that's the story. Now let me go to the watch page where you are and look at what you're commenting about, but also talk about how the NFL did something that I never thought at all. Like, hello, I never thought at all they do, and they canceled the preseason game for a disaster. Now, yeah, it's a preseason game, but it's an NFL game, and the real interesting aspect of this is it's not just any NFL preseason game, it's the Texans-Cowboys game. All right, it's the Texans-Cowboys game. So that, now I wanted to ask you all what you thought about that. As far as Vegas news, I talked about that last night, and again, for those of you who are investors in particular, I'm really demanding you help me grow this and have, an interest in a number of different things going on. I say that because every channel I turn to, something happens related to Hurricane Harvey. And Joseph Binsman says, thank you. It's a cool simultaneous landing video earlier. Hey, thank you very much for that. Wasn't that something? That was really something else, because that was one of those, I wouldn't say once in a lifetime developments, but for most people it is. And I was able to film a United Airlines plane in tandem with us landing at San Francisco International Airport at the same time. That's what he's referring to. So yeah, push that out there. I thought it would go viral by now. I'm actually disappointed that it wasn't picked up by more people. It's one of those videos you have to send out and send out and send out, and someone says, oh, well, duh, yeah, this is cool, right? But I'm glad you noticed that it was cool. I'm glad you noticed that it was cool. But for those who, last night, we we had an exchange regarding my interview with Stanley Washington, and the new news is what he said. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that is enough Vegas news for the week. If you can't get to a point where you're dissecting how the black community in Las Vegas is being shammed by the Oakland Raiders, then I don't know where your priorities are at. I am still mad over what I was told last night and what I presented. I cannot believe, although my friend Baus says he's not surprised, that the Raiders would be in, particularly Oakland Raiders president Mark Bourdain, would be in a position where he would allow the team to be, well, seen as being only out for itself, having no interest in employing black laborers, and siding with people who have harmed, in some cases physically, allegedly, black contractors in Las Vegas. Are we so cold in this society that people are desensitized to that news and they think, okay, well, whatever? What if that happened to you? What if you were one of the people that were assaulted by one of the union locals just because you were black, needed work, showed up to the job site, they told you that either there was no work or they gave you work but they didn't pay you? That's the history of work relationships between black contractors and white labor union locals, all right? There, okay? Rick Rice says, can you give a quick summary of what we discussed? Oh, sure, Rick Rice, I apologize. I thought you saw it. I'm happy to do so. Last night, I had the pleasure of interviewing Stanley Washington. Stanley Washington is a 25-year activist in Las Vegas for black and underrepresented communities. He has ran point, as they say, on the issue of SB1's section calling for a community benefits agreement or plan not being followed, and a verbally promised $100 million expenditure for minority jobs not being followed by the Raiders. What happened, according to Washington in my interview last night, was that in the run-up to the negotiations, hey, ML Scott, in the run-up to the negotiations, there were a number of groups, black, Latino, his LGBT, Asian, or those representing people of color, who struck a deal with Andy Aboud, the vice president of government relations for Las Vegas Sands. And they held this press conference announcing that they had achieved this kumbaya and that they were ready to go forward and support the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Act, within which included the subsidy for the Oakland Raiders Las Vegas Stadium, okay? The $750 million. So that gets passed, and then what happens is that right after it passed, in fact, there was some friction where Adelson almost jumped just before, okay? And then just after the vote, which was October 16th of last year. But then Adelson discovered that he was being played, that Mark Davis and Mark Bourdain had not included their agreements in the lease proposal, items that they had discussed that were supposed to be in the lease were not there, and that of equal importance to Mr. Adelson, his beloved University of Nevada, Las Vegas, was treated like a poor stepchild in the lease proposal. Not only that, the lease proposal was released without informing Adelson. Adelson hit the ceiling and jumped ship and reportedly is still out, Okay? Still out. So, when he took himself out, what he took with him was the amount of money that he promised to spend on off-site infrastructure improvements and basically all cost overruns, because this project was to be a community gift for him, okay? That's the whole point, all right? A community gift. So fast forward to, so what happened was that, fast forward to just after the departure of Adelson, and Oakland Raiders president Mark Bedane turns around and says, okay, the community benefits agreement with a $100 million component, that was your discussion with Sheldon. That has nothing to do with us. But get this, the Raiders would not have had that subsidy had it not been for that discussion, verbal agreement, and kumbaya press conference. So Bedane really screwed up. I mean, he massively screwed up. And every time I roll this around, it's like, wow, okay? So, all right. I got that out of the way. Is anybody concerned about Hurricane Harvey? Have you freaking seen what's going on down there? Rick Rice, do you care at all? I'm asking you. Do you care? Rick Rice, for those of you watching, is one of our common viewers. But I'm asking you, do you care about that? Because that's the reason why the Texans-Cowboys game was canceled. We cannot go on normal like that's not happening and people aren't suffering and whole cities are not underwater. You have to be a cold you-know-what to not care about that sort of thing. And I want to talk about it. Okay, I want to talk about it tonight. And I'm demanding that everybody on this channel tell me how they feel about it. Come on. Because I know some of you have different names other than your screen name, and I actually know who some of you really are. Please. Please. Do you have loved ones down there? Are you affected in any kind of way? I'm asking. Or are you just sitting there looking at the screen and you're turning away? Because if that's the case, I need to investigate really expanding the ranks here. Okay? People down there are suffering and dying in ways that I hope I never, ever experience. Okay? Ever. Ever. So, it's not a matter of going to a place to escape. There's some things that you shouldn't really want to escape. You should want to say, hey, this is what's going on, all right? Rick Rice says, I'm surprised the money-grubbing NFL canceled it. I'm not. Joseph Benson says, can you believe Trump is talking about tax cuts for the rich in Missouri tonight, while Houston and East Texas and parts of Louisiana are wrecked? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. There is a certain heartlessness that's creeping into the society. I don't know why. I supine that maybe it comes from a reduction in overall wealth. During the 80s and 90s, credit was a lot more free, and money sloshed around the economy much more favorably than it does today. We have not just an offshoring of jobs, but an atomizing of jobs. We have, in a number of places, particularly here in Oakland, in California, an acute housing affordability crisis. And we call it a crisis, and we have the means to solve it, but we don't. The mayor, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, put out this email that really infuriated me, because she's talking about an op-ed she wrote calling for a $6 billion state bond issue. Libby could solve the affordable housing problem in Oakland right now by reenacting the redevelopment laws that we had. The state has allowed us to use tax increment financing again. It's like we have a group of people in government who either don't know how to use government to make lives of people better, or don't really know how want to do it. And so their mindset's not in that place. And it's horrible to watch. It just is, all right? It just is. Oh, Rick Rice, I haven't heard, as far as Barry Lee, for those of you watching, Barry Lee is in Seguin, Texas, another one of our regular viewers. I did hear from him, and he's, as far as I know, doing fine. Yesterday, I didn't hear from him today, but yesterday he did chime in on the program. Joseph Gondonis claims global warming is the problem. Joseph Binsman says, did you see the white USA hat Trump was wearing when he visited Texas? He's selling that hat for $40 on his campaign website for his 2020 re-election. He's a con man through and through. And let me guess, he's selling that, but it's not, none of it going to anyone associated with the Hurricane Harvey suffering at all? Wow. I'm going to make a new batch of shirts and hats and cups, and I'm going to donate percentage to charities that are helping those suffering from Hurricane Harvey. I just started thinking about what would happen if the entire southern area, not just Houston, but Louisiana, all the way through Georgia, southern part of Georgia, and parts of the Florida Panhandle. What if all that were underwater? That's what I think of. I'm thinking, how bad does it have to get for us to wake up and realize just how fragile, not just our existence is, but how amazing our engineering feats can be when we put our mindset to them. And my concern is that this society right now thinks lazy, okay? It's all about the individual and, well, I've made this app, or I created this startup, and I got all this money. But it's not about improving it for the collective. That's I don't want to go off on a rant here, but I think I just did. I think I just did, okay? I think I just did. Now, all right, I got that out of my system. I feel better. Part of it is I come back to Oakland, and well, the other part of it is that when I turn and I look at the television set, it's these constant scenes of homes and businesses and people either underwater or wading through water at levels I have never seen in my life. I thought Katrina was bad. This makes Katrina look like a picnic. I'm pointing because the television's over there, all right? And Joseph Berman says, I highly doubted Zenny laugh out loud. After seeing the new Al Gore movie on climate change, I need to see that. And knowing Trump has been full of it his whole life, Trump just gets more pathetic by the day. And Donis has a question mark. Now, I'm going to go in further, all right? Also, I know Forever Oakland had its meeting tonight. I thought about attending, but when I flew in, I was exhausted. And I know I want to do the stream. So, and I'm glad I focused on solving this problem with the hotspot. But I woke up at 5:30 after having finally gone to sleep at 3:37 in the morning. So 3:37, 4:37, you get the picture. I only had 90 minutes of sleep. I slept a little bit on the plane, first from Atlanta to Chicago, then from Chicago to San Francisco. But not as much as I probably should have. So here I am back, and the first thing that I notice is most of the new construction is in the West Bay. You come to Oakland, it still basically looks the same. And I'm thinking, get with it. I mean, I see one crane downtown for that high rise that's going to go up. Okay. But other than that, the cafe that I like to go to on the corner of 19th and Broadway, that's closed. There are these little signs. The Uber building is almost finished, but you know what? It may not be the Uber building. Uber may wind up selling it. So I'm back and I'm thinking, oh, Oakland. Man. And there's the whole thing with the Raiders, right? We're playing the Seahawks tomorrow. Who's going? I'm going to go down to visit the 66th Mob tomorrow evening. Bring the live stream down that way, you know? So, but, okay, now, let me go and share this, put this out there. So I'm just feeling my oats today, folks. Just like, trying to... Oh, and then now, I can get off my chest how stupid the Raiders were for passing on Joe Haden. What was up with that? Cap? What is it? Sean Smith gets into trouble. Everyone's complaining about his play at cornerback. We have two new DBs who are not ready for prime time. Talking about Conley and Obi, right? And yet, there's the great two-time Pro Bowler. Actually, I've interviewed Joe Haden out there. Cleveland Brown, great. Browns just let him slip through the... I don't think the Browns let him slip through the cracks. What I think happened, as such reminds me, is that the Raiders have $14 million in cap space. What I believe happened is the Joe Haden move on the part of the Browns was all about a kind of sabermetrics applied to football. Now, what do I mean? I mean that if we go back and look at Joe Haden's career, I'm gonna see what I find, because I'm venturing a guess. And the reason why I say is because none other than Paul DePodesta is on the staff of the Cleveland Browns, I believe. And DePodesta, let me double check that, because before I go on a rant about Paul DePodesta, and I don't mean a bad one either, but a rant nonetheless. Bear with me. And yeah, Paul DePodesta is the chief strategy officer for the Cleveland Browns of the National Football League. Now you're saying, well, who is Paul DePodesta? Paul DePodesta is basically known for Moneyball. He is known for applying sabermetrics to the management of a baseball team. And he got his start with the Oakland Athletics, gained fame because of his association with Billy Beane and the movie Moneyball, and now he's the chief strategy officer for... I want a job like that. Chief strategy officer. The Raiders ought to make me their chief strategy officer. They wouldn't be in half the situations they are in right now, let alone the Vegas one, right? That's a nice title. Chief strategy officer. And so Donis says, why didn't you run for mayor of Oakland? Just don't think about it, just do it. And Donis, look, I'm still thinking about it, and I haven't done it because I'm not financially ready. I hear what you're saying, and I stop myself right there because I don't want a lot of don'ts coming out of my mouth about that. But I've said this before, and I'll say this again, but I'll also say this to you. I mean, you have a family member out there that needs your time and attention. Focusing on something like mayor is going to take away from that. And that's where I'm at. Okay? That is where I'm at. Now, but I digress. Big Eightful series says all the help they can get on D talking about the Oakland Raiders. Not only do they need some DBs, but they also need some linebackers as well. Yes. And I said yes, mindful of the fact that in the past I've said, the recent past, like a few days ago, I said that the Raiders' problem was primarily scheme, and I still hold to that. But when you have a Joe Haden out there that can be grabbed and you can replace Sean Smith with Joe Haden, you do it like that. But instead, paralysis. What happened? What happened? Donut says, I have ideas. Donut, you have ideas as well. What happened there? Now, I'm looking at Joe Haden, and the Steelers got Joe Haden, which means, wow. I mean, it means that a strong team now is arguably powerful enough to take on and beat the Patriots. That's what that means. Joe Haden, 5'11", 190 pounds. He is basically a star player for them. Now, he's been in the league since 2010. He was selected to the Pro Bowl 2 times, as I mentioned. And what I'm looking for right now, what I'm looking at are his statistics. For example, and I'm trying to mimic what I believe Paul D. Podesta and the Browns may have been thinking when they released Joe Haden, because I don't think it was a Hugh Jackson move. Now I'm looking at this, and I see tackles. His first years, listen to this, okay? 50 tackles in 2010, 53 the second year, 40, 43, 58, and then 18 and 37. He went down. Then we look at interceptions, and we discover that he had 6 interceptions his first year, none the second, 3 the third year, 4 the fourth year, 3 the fifth year, none in 2015, and 3 in 2016. So we are looking at a person whose overall capabilities are considered to be on the downside. He is now he's 7 years into the league. So the Browns made a calculated move that his physical skills were on the downside to a degree that he was worth giving up. However, there's the leadership, and there's the, oh my God, we've got Joe Haden on our team point of view. And not only that, maybe he just needed a fresh start, because through these 7 years, the Browns have had terrible coaching staffs and less than subpar ownership. So perhaps putting him in a Steelers jersey is just the tonic he needed, but why not a Raider jersey? Why not a Raider jersey? And Patrick M. Blackman says the injuries may have caught up to him. And Raiders Citron is correct in announcing that Raiders also signed Seth Roberts to a 3-year deal at wide receiver. Yes, I did notice that. And Donis says, have you heard, yes, that's a little off topic there, but no, it's not off topic. Donis asked me, have I heard of GoFundMe or Kickstarter? I have, but I want to use something called WeFund. And not only that, we have, speaking of GoFundMe or Kickstarter, Donis, you can do the same thing right now at Zenny62. You can already invest. It's not a donation, it's an investment, because people gain shares. And that is something that nobody else, and I do mean no one else, offers. And so I say invest there. Okay? And boom. And there. So if you click on that, you can automatically invest $10. Boom. And you will get the value of shares that equals, as I've done every time someone has invested to date or bought a t-shirt. So there you go. And I like this better because I'm going to do those because it helps me expand the net. But I like this better because it allows you all to have real ownership in Zenny62 Media. And I do mean real ownership in Zenny62 Media. You each have shares, those of you who have invested. So yeah, I like this better than I like investing better than donating. Let me put it that way. Donate, you just put your money in there and you don't see anything. You have no representation of what your total place in the company is. With me, you do. You have that. And the contractual agreement that when Zenny62 Media is bought, you get your shares. Or if we find a place on a secondary sales market, then you can actually buy and sell your shares. So, Donis was talking about mayoral campaign. That's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm thinking about my mom. Okay, my mom, who I travel with today, is my heart, and my belief is that if I focus on the mayor issue, I take my focus off her, and I may have to move for her. Okay, so thank you very much. The piling is invested tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so I may have to move. So that is all up in my head. But what's really in my mind beyond that is growing this channel and this live stream. I mean, I want this to be as big as the Young Turks. Okay, and so this, what I'm doing right now, where it goes on Zenny62.com and all the blogs, and I don't know if you've seen the social media distribution it has. This is what I have right now. This isn't pie in the sky. It's not on the future. This is what I'm doing right now. It involves you trying to get better, more exciting guests, breaking news, like Stanley Washington, okay? That's his first exclusive long-form interview he's done with anybody. Anybody. Because, and the reason is that, for the most part, the mainstream media types were in Vegas. They didn't want any negative information to come out, so they wanted to cast Washington, Mr. Washington, in the guise of some sort of kook. He is no kook. He is no kook. And he uncovered a lot of problems. He really did. So, I mean, a lot of problems. Hey, how many of you are going to the game tomorrow night? Just curious. How many of you are going to tomorrow night's game? I'm talking about the Raiders-Seahawks game. How many of you are will be in attendance or will be at the 66th mob? Just curious. By a show of hands. So Big Eightful says 2019 Vegas and the Raiders will part ways. It's certainly looking like something close to that could happen. It really does. It really does look like that, doesn't it? But who among you will be attending the game tomorrow night? Anyone have an extra ticket? I don't do the press pass thing. Citron says, I'm not going to any preseason game. Tony Piling, again, thank you for the investment, says, and Stanley Washington sounded like he couldn't wait to talk to you last night. No, you know, I'm glad you said that. He was really anxious. What happened was that, and Michael Medrano offers that the Raiders might have placed a cheap bid in for Joe Haden. But getting to your point, Tony, about Mr. Washington, I called a grand total of 4 times, twice to his place of business in search of him. I kept missing him, and then I guess the third time, the poor office clerk took pity on me and gave me his direct cell phone number, thinking, well, okay, I know you'll get a hold of him this way. And so I called him. Didn't receive a call back, but I, undeterred, tried another time, and then actually tried a 4th time, and that 4th time was the first time on the stream. And then I didn't get him, but I got his answering machine. So then I tried a 5th time, and he said, call me back, and then the 6th time, we got things rolling. So I finally got a hold of him, but yeah, I was really determined, in part because he'd been so outspoken at the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meetings, but also because Clark County Commission Chairman Steve Sisolak has not returned a phone call, and I've called him, including today, a number of times. And there seems to be this edict among some of the people involved in this project in Vegas that I'm not going to respond to Zinni. He really broke that logjam. He really did. Big April says, I would go to the game, but I have to work, and then improv rehearsal right after that. Wait, Big April's doing improv. What? Where are you doing improv, man? We gotta come and cheer you on. You know? I mean, we're like, I don't mean a Bronx cheer you on. I mean like a real full-throated, front of the audience, a standing ovation, you go, man, kind of cheer. So, where are you doing improv if we can come and watch you at your craft of comedy? type that and I'll announce it on the air. But I digress. Now, Medrano says the Raiders might have placed a cheap bid for Joe Haden. Let me check on that. Let me see if that was the case for Joe Haden. Joe Haden, Oakland Raiders. And let's see here. With Derek Carr's brothers recruiting Joe Haden to the Raiders, would signing Joe Haden make sense for the Raiders? Of course it is. Then Oakland Raiders team drops ball not signing Joe Haden. So Derek Carr's brother did try it, but that was his brother. I don't have any word on what the Raiders have done. Let me see what the total range of stories on this is. And Joe Haden trade rumors, Oakland Raiders a potential candidate. And then the Grueling Truth has something interesting. Reasons for and against the Raiders going after Joe Haden. And this is written by James Arce. And James Arce writes that even when Gary Conley gets healthy, and even if he plays really well, corner remains a concern. Sean Smith and T.J. Carey have been horrible this preseason. Smith has continued a streak of bad play, which I think has something to do with where his head is at. And, okay, so basically we all know the defensive backs are not doing well. I blame the pass rush technique issue that I talked about before, but I digress, all right? Here, his argument is that against Haden is that Haden is 28 years old, and his contract is a cap hit of over $14 million in the next 2 years, and the Raiders can't cut him without, he says, incurring a large dead money hit until 2019. They could cut him next season and incur a hit of just over $3.6 million. And but see, it's interesting. He gives the arguments for making the move in terms of the fact that the Raiders' current cooperative corners aren't playing well. But he talks about nothing about Joe Haden's ability as a cover man, okay? So it's like, this is kind of not the best recital of the issues at all. And so, at all. So we've got, let's see here. I don't like that one. So, Joseph Binsman says, that's how my Giants helped out a not-so-good secondary a year ago. Strong defensive line. Right. Big Eightful says Pan Theater. Oh, this is where Big Eightful is going to be applying his comedy trade, folks. The Pan Theater in downtown Oakland. Just go to pantheater.com for all the info. We perform every Friday except First Friday, which this is coming up as First Friday. Pan Theater in downtown Oakland. Let me get the address here, folks, and announce that real quick. Pan Theater, downtown Oakland. Hold on a second. Pan Theater, downtown Oakland. That is at 120 Frank Ogawa Plaza. That's basically right next to Oakland City Hall, okay? So that's what we're looking at. Pan Theater. Yeah, I've never been there before. Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that place. I've walked by it before. I didn't know that's what was going on over there. Ah, okay. Bare bones show space for improv comedy. Hey, folks, here is a look map. A map. Here's a look at the map where he's at, okay? There, okay? Pan Theater. And it's downtown Oakland, okay? And then there's the New Parish, all that, bare bones, and that green is Frank Ogawa Plaza. And even though this map doesn't indicate it, it's Oakland City Hall is right there, okay? So Pan Theater. So yeah, that's, again, every Friday night, I think he says, except first Friday night. Well, that means that it's not going to be this Friday because this Friday is First Friday. So there you go. Now, Joseph Binsman says, oh yeah, I mentioned that one. Carolina man is visiting us. He's talking about Panthers. He says, but the Panthers are stocked on offense. I agree. Carolina man says, but Curse would be a nice addition. Tony Piling says, invest so you can keep the Zinni train rolling. Please, 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 please. Yeah, Carolina man, invest. Hey, invest, Carolina man. Since you're here. And why not start off with something big there, okay? So Carolina man says, just hoping your quarterbacks will step up this year. But Carolina man, I'm going to say one thing. You guys have the person I believe will be the NFL Rookie of the Year in Christian McCaffrey. Enough said right there. Christian McCaffrey may very well will propel the Panthers to the wild card spot at least. You got the Bucs to deal with. The Falcons, after the way Sarkisian is coaching the offense, I'm not so sure. But it's definitely going to be a battle. I'm telling you, the NFC South, fun to watch. It's going to be funner to watch. Watch. Now, Rick Rice says, improv rehearsal, isn't that an oxymoron? You got it. Rick Rice with a wit. Rick Rice with the wit. Definitely with the wit. So, hey, Rick Rice, love to have your investment, by the way. Even if it's, $10, right? So, Carolina man says that, Joseph Brennan says my fantasy draft, this is Joseph Binsman. I keep saying Brenneman. I'm thinking of Christine Brenneman of USA Today. Stop that, Zinni. Joseph Brinsman says that he is looking forward, my fantasy draft is on Monday. This is Joseph Binsman. Looking forward to it. Aiming for David Johnson. I agree on McCaffrey. He's going to be fun to watch. Oh, yeah. And Carolina man says a 9-7 record would be great, but I see us doing better because of our schedule this season. Yeah, Carolina man, you're in arguably the toughest division in the NFL. Well, second toughest division in the NFL. NFC East being the first. So, how could you think that the Panthers' schedule is cupcake, what with the Falcons, the Buccaneers? Well, yeah, think about it. Just the Falcons and the Buccaneers alone. You have to face them twice. That's 4 games of that schedule. 4 games you guys could lose, okay? So I don't look at it that way. In the least. I really don't. So, it comes down to Cam. I think it comes down to Mike Shula. The offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers has been their bugaboo for some time, Mike Shula. And Carolina man says that Tampa Bay will place 3rd. No. I'll bet against that. I will say this, though. I believe the Bucs are poised to take the division. I really do. And it's because of the improved play. It's not just the improved play of Jameis Winston, but the number of plays that they need to put in for him that are brand new this year. So Tony Piling says, I was able to get McCaffrey and DeMarco Murray in my draft. Whoa, that's a great combination. Hey, Tony, who is your quarterback? Who have you selected? Jameis Winston's my choice. And Carolina man says 1 more year in Tampa will have the experience. I think they've got it right now. Hey, Tony, who is your... In fact, everybody else, who are your quarterback? Derek Carr, perhaps? Who's poised to have a Buffalo great year. I am really concerned about the Raiders' defense and that technique problem. And Tony Piling says he's got Jameis Winston. Carolina man said they have too many vets. But Carolina man, who is your quarterback? Who's your quarterback in terms of your pick for fantasy? Rick Rice says Joe Flacco is his. Hey, Rick Rice, you may be on to something this year regarding Flacco. We'll see. And Joe Flacco, invest. You can even invest $30 if you want to. Now, Carolina Man says Cam Newton is the quarterback, the one who took us 15-1 and was named MVP 2 years ago, and for which I was at the Super Bowl that arguably his team made it theirs to lose. The Panthers should have beaten the Broncos, but the offensive game plan was terrible. Just terrible, okay? Terrible, 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 terrible. All right, just awful, all right? Just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Let me do something. I'm sharing this. Put this out on LinkedIn. You know, I wonder what would happen if instead of using the title of, which is the Texans-Cowboys thing, right? I wonder if I put out just, hey, Zinni Abraham is live. Talk to him about the Raiders. I think I'll say, hey, Zinni Abraham is live talking Oakland Raiders and NFL. Join him. Join him. Join him now. Question, yeah, like that. Then hashtag Raiders. Like that. Let's see what that does rather than what I have been doing. Now, Harry Dunn, how are you, Harry? How are you, Harry? Harry Dunn says, if the Browns don't want a player, it's not a good sign. I'm glad the Raiders passed on Haden. You remind me to check on something, Harry, regarding Joe Haden. And let me see if my memory is correct here, and it is not. Let's see here. I thought, no, I didn't. I thought I had an interview with Joe Haden. I really did. Let me see here. Let me go back to Zinni62 on YouTube. Let's see here. Excuse me. Because I thought I interviewed Joe Haden at the NFL draft. That was 2010. So let me see what's going on here. YouTube Red. Let's see here. I'm going through. This new YouTube layout is I'm getting used to it. But right now as I speak, I'm not exactly a fan. I'll talk about it more in depth another time. But let's see here. Click on that. Click on this. Hey, Vonta Burkfect. Suspension was reduced. Joe Haden, no videos found. What? I was at the 2010 NFL draft. I missed either I missed interviewing Joe Haden or I misspelled his name. Let's see here. 2010 NFL draft. Browns. Let's see here. Eddie George. 2010 NFL draft. That's interesting. See, now I'm mad at myself. Got trying to see what can sort by. I'll go and look at it later. I was going to try to get you what I thought was an interview that I had with Joe Haden, and it must have been one of those compound videos that I made where it was he and others rather than a video, with him in it, right? So I will solve that problem. I mean, heck, I've got an interview with Rod Blagojevich. Yeah, I said that. Rod Blagojevich. I met Rod Blagojevich, the man at the center of the Illinois political scandal a few years ago. Yes, I met him at the 2012, the 2008 Democratic National Convention. Yeah, anyway. So, Tony Piling says, when it comes down to the final cuts, the Raiders won't be able to pounce on anyone due to how they did last year. Nah, well, wait, Tony, but before I just knee-jerk agree with you, why do you say that? And this is where it would be cool to have one of those little video things that pops out that says, well, I think this, right? And I might work on some addition to that. Like maybe setting up a mini Skype where someone could just boop, time in and say, this is what I think, right? Carolina Man says, Kelvin Benjamin is looking good. I think he's back in shape since his 2015 injury, I agree. And Carolina Man also says that Jonathan Stewart, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, are a great pairing. Yeah, Curtis Samuel is going to be a great addition. But hey, I like Chris Godfrey from Penn State with the Buccaneers even better. Even better. Harry Dunn is asking, why would the Browns release Joe Haden if he's that good? He's also young at 27. But as I said before you arrived, Harry, I believe this is a Paul DePodesta move. Now, who's Paul DePodesta? He is the chief strategy officer for the Cleveland Browns, the man who created Moneyball for the Oakland Athletics and made that approach part of American culture. I believe that DePodesta took a look at a chart that might represent the NFL equivalent to sabermetrics in baseball and said, you know what, it's time to release. Let's do it. That's what I believe. And that would explain this youth movement the Browns are going on with Myles Jarrett and others, okay? So I think there's a method to their madness there that involves some input from the great Paul DePodesta. I really do. And Carolina Man says, this is going to be a good NFL season. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a great season. Carolina Man also says, I believe if Carr can stay healthy, then they'll make it back to the Super Bowl, talking about the Raiders. I agree. Now, well, I don't know. It's not that. It's that defense, man. That defense. That defense. That defense. That defense. Okay? Rick Rice says there's about to be over 12,000 players, 1,200 players, that are going to hit the open market at the same time. We'll find somebody. And I'll do a special live stream on Saturday about that. That's a big day. Tony Piling says, watch out for Cooper Kupp on the Rams. Great route runner, okay? Cooper Kupp on the Rams. You got it. And Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. Can you say Cooper Kupp 3 times real fast? Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp. So let's see here. We've got. I'm gonna try this. I'm trying this idea. Let's see. Oakland Raiders miss Joe Haden. Let's talk. Let's live stream. Boom. There we go. Like that. Okay. And yeah, that's out there on Twitter. Sharing more. All right. One of you is not going to the game. We have now 13 watching, 14 watching, because I started late. Normally, this is the time that I stop. So I'm going to stay on for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to eat and get ready for tomorrow. Tony Piling says, if Robert Kelly gets hurt in Washington, they have Samaje Perine backing him up. Yes, they do. The Redskins, I have to really sit down and look at my roster and make my NFL predictions this week and get those out of the way. Joseph Binsman writes, I hope the tight end Howard on the Bucs is a beast. So want him to be a giant, but now have faith in the rookie tight end we have Ingram. Ingram is a good blocker. I think he's going to pay dividends for the Giants from that perspective. Rick Rice says, yeah, Cooper Kupp tore us a new one the other week. TJ Carey got murdered. Again, I'm going to go back to my simple point. The Raiders' problem on defense is a lack of defensive line penetration. Okay? And the defensive line is simply not getting in there well enough to have an impact. That's the fact. Jack. Joseph Binsman says, Delvin Cook might outshine former Raider running back Murray in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, is the man I thought the Buccaneers were going to draft. In fact, I had the Bucs taking either Dalvin Cook or moving up to get Christian McCaffrey. I didn't expect them to take Howard at that position. I thought they were going to gear up for someone to either challenge or compliment or both the muscle hamster, but Doug Martin. But they didn't do that. It's almost like they're protecting Doug Martin for some reason. He's really got to produce. Because I don't see Doug Martin as that home run hitter running back. I see him as the guy that can get me 5 yards if I need 10. He'd give me 5 yards if I need 3. But he can get me 5 yards. You know what I mean? Either running or catching the pass out of the backfield. That's Doug Martin. In other words, he's reliable, but he's not the home run hitter. The Bucs need to complement him with a home run hitter. That would have been my objective going into the 2017 NFL Draft. So, hey, Barry Lee, we're just talking about you. How are you? What up, Barry Lee? And Carolina Man says, O.J. Howard make an impact for the Bucs. Hey, watch out for Joe Mixon and the Bengals. I think that, Joe Mixon, now that he's got his troubles behind him and he made up with the lady that he treated so horribly, I think the sky's the limit for Joe Mixon. And Rick Rice says Doug Martin is done. Rick Rice, if you're right, then the Buccaneers made a horrible mistake in continuing to feature him this year, as I believe they have. Or perhaps they feel that what with Deshaun Jackson and O.J. Howard and others that and led by Jameis Winston in the passing game, maybe they feel that they can get away with a person like Doug Martin, who again is reliable. He can get you 5 when you need 10. He can get you 5 when you need 2, and so on. Rick Rice says, yeah, watch out for Joe Mixon. Hide your daughters. Oh. Carolina Man says he's excited to see Luke Cayley back. Luke's the wrecking ball. And not only that, he reminds me of Christopher Reeve, He's got that kind of look and demeanor that says, movie star, good guy. And yet, he's a wrecking ball on the field. What a cool combination for Carolina to have. And, yeah, Luke Cayley and Thomas Davis. Barry Lee says, I saw on Major League Baseball channel where Tampa Bay hosted the Rangers-Astros game. Oh, really? Is that right? This is really, I can't say enough how devastating and how sad it is to watch this unfold. It really is. It hurts. It hurts a lot. And I'm thinking of something to do, some kind of response that I believe is commensurate with, the Zinster Nation. Did I just say that? Why does Zinster Nation sound like consternation? I'm just wondering about that, But anyway, Zinster Nation, Raider Nation, Bengal Nation. There's a term, Zinster Nation. What do you guys think of that? Let me see how that looks in print. Zinster Nation. Or maybe hashtag Zinster Nation. Right? And Rick Rice says, I like Luke Cayley. Hopefully he doesn't get concussed too many times this year. Yeah, that was something that you don't wish on. So, at all. Carolina Man says, hashtag keep pounding. I say that's what she said. Barry Lee says the Astros have said they plan to play a doubleheader in Saturday in Houston. Okay. And Tony Piling says, Nation of Zins. I thought that said Nation of Hins for a second. Nation of Hins. And so, Joseph Binsman asks, what do you think will happen with Ezekiel Elliott? Jordan Yancey says Raiders defense will look better with Conley in the lineup. They need to work on the technique, defensive line technique. Now, to answer your question, Mr. Binsman, what do I think will happen? You know, it's hard to tell because I haven't paid attention to what happened in today's proceedings and in much detail. I can tell you what I wish would happen. I would wish that he get one game and essentially a second chance, because we're not talking about Joe Mixon. We're talking about someone who's made some stupid errors of association, okay? But nothing that rises to the level of a 6-game suspension. Or look at what Vontae Burfict had. He was facing a 5-game suspension. It's reduced to 3. I think personally it should be maybe, I think 3 is okay. 5 was excessive. 3 is fine. 3 is fine. But for Ezekiel Elliott, 6 games, 2 or 3. 2. But 6 is too much. Now, Carolina Man says it would be nice if Steve Smith would have come back to the Panthers for one more year to finish his career like Julius Peppers. Yeah, well, look, it would have been nice, but it would have been even nicer if the Panthers had not gotten rid of him. Rick Rice says Raiders defense will look better with Pagano calling the shots, not Ken Norton. I don't think that's the problem. I mean, the problem is this is a defense that Jack Del Rio wants. Okay? I mean, I don't care if it's Pagano or Norton. In fact, I'm not for that. I'm for a change in defensive line technique. One simple change in technique will solve the problem. Solve it. Nick G says, can you donate to donate people who have Down syndrome to the web? Okay. Tony Piling says, we haven't seen what the Raiders will deploy on defense until game 1. This could all be smokescreens. Nick G asks us to donate for Down syndrome. What I'll do is I'll set up with my products. If you can name a foundation, I'll attach one of my products to that foundation, okay? And so Tony Piling says we haven't seen... he says that all that about the Raiders could be a smokescreen. Carolina Man says it was Steve Smith wanting to leave and we fired that GM now. I know he wanted to leave, but he wanted to leave for some good reasons. All right? He really did. And I think some of them had to do with Mike Shula. Okay? So, Carolina Man says I'm a new subscriber to this channel. Welcome. Now, Jordan Yancey says week 1, the Raiders defense will be much better. It's preseason. They're not going to show you too much. Jordan, it's not showing I'm concerned about. It's technique. Look, I don't care if you play 3-4, 4-3, 4-2-5, 4-1-6, whatever. If you're rushing the passer and your pads are high rather than low, if you are engaging the lineman rather than staying low, if you're being asked to 2-gap rather than single gap and pursue through that, you're going to have problems rushing the quarterback in today's NFL. I'm sorry, you just are. And you're not going to be able to do it effectively without blitzing, and that's the Raiders' problem. Or a guy named Khalil Mack, and that's the Raiders' problem. That really is the problem. Carolina Man says, nice to see someone who knows football. I try. Bradley says, hey, Zenny, love the view of the landing today. Thank you. Yeah, the simultaneous thing, yeah. Push it out there on Twitter, Barry. Help me make that go viral. I think everybody should see that. That was a rare occurrence that I'm able to sit on the side of the plane where that happened, and that I was, first of all, awake and saw it, and in the perfect window position to get it. I could have been such that the engine was blocking me or whatever. So Jordan Yancey says, go back and look at the Cowboys game. I looked at it tonight. pads are much lower and they were getting after the quarterback. I will go back and look at that. Because you asked me to, Jordan, I will do that. Or at least says, will do, says. Carolina said, man, I used to live in Davis, okay? And let's see here. In fact, Jordan says, Jordan, let's do that. Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. I'm going to go to NFL.com. And, dude, I'm going to pull up those Cowboy. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to leave this stone unturned. Okay? Matt Stafford, $135 million. Derek Carr, $125 million. Who's better? You tell me. You tell me. Who's better? You tell me. Now, I'm going back to that game. Cowboys. And I got the old games there. Schedule. Scores. Let's see here. I'm paging through NFL.com right now, folks. Those are the Thursday, August 31st games. I am looking for the previous games. Razzo. Let's see here. 3. Okay. How about Jay Cutler? I think Jay Cutler is going to really make a difference in all of the NFL for the Dolphins. I really do. And look out for the Niners and their new look West Coast Bill Walsh offense. Bill Walsh comes back to the Niners in the guise of Kyle Shanahan. So let's see here. We've got, where is that? Okay, there it is. Game Center. I found it. So I found it. And I'm going to look at those highlights. Okay. And see if what you're saying is correct. Let's see here. I'm waiting for the screen to stop buffering. Taco Charlton. Let's see here. Recap, analyze. Let's see here. Put that on there. Sometimes you want to get to something. The commercial really does get in the way, and I'm all for people making money, right? But oh man. Okay. That's the Cardinals game. It's the top 15 plays of the preseason. That's not what I'm looking for. It says, watch Oakland Raiders, Dallas Cowboys. I expect to get Raiders, Cowboys finish. I don't expect to get Cardinals, Cowboys. That's what I got. Come on, NFL.com. Get with the program, man. Let's see here. Game access. Mobile. NFL fantasy football. Analyze. Discuss. Videos. Found it. Videos. All right. Cooper Rush highlights. Best Cowboy rushes. They have. Okay. Highlights. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Raiders versus Cowboys. Week 3 highlights. And I'm waiting for it to come up. I'm waiting for it to come up. I'm waiting for it to come up. Come on, come on, come on. Now I got it. All right. Okay. And I see this. Now let me take a look at let me take a look at what we're talking about here. Go back a little bit. And I'm going to bring you down here. And we're going to look at this together. We're going to look at this together. We're going to look at this together. We going to look. Going to look. Going to look at this together. Oh, yeah. We going to look at this together. Doggone it. This buffering on the NFL.com website is just outrageous. Okay. Wait a minute. You know what? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go, Raiders. Here we go. Here we go, Raiders. Here we go. Let me enlarge this a bit. There we are. All right. Now, let's take a look at this defense. First of all, one thing I noticed about this particular alignment is, first of all, the Cowboys are in an unusual two tight end offense with both tight ends on one side up here. See that? See that? Note that for the regular season, folks. The Raiders are in their 4-3 under. All right. Now let's watch and see what happens. And get set. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. It's a completion, but you know, I like the surge off the ball. Okay, I like the surge off the ball. I like the surge off the ball. Okay? Hey, look. All right. I like that surge off the ball. Much better. I think someone's watching my videos. Yeah! All right. I like that. Okay, so you know what? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I have noticed that now, and I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Now, see, now I want to look at other plays. That's just one. And the reason why I say it is because the Raiders have played that kind of close-up defense where they're that tighter version of the 4-3 under before. So, and then that's why. And they played a looser version in preseason. They played different versions of this. Whereas I would prefer they stick with that. But I love that surge. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If they keep that up, yeah. And thank you for pointing that out to me, and thank you for, noticing that, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Hey, Jordan, I admit, I'm happy to be wrong. Well, it's not that I was right or wrong. I was right in pointing it out because it was there before. But I saw that, and I was like, yeah! You saw my reaction. You saw my reaction. That's the way it should be. Someone said, hey, that Zinni's got a point. Forget that Zinni. Then Matt Millen said, no, that dude does have a point. Hold on. Okay, now, wait. All right. And we have another great example of the surge. All right, hold on a second. So yeah, they've gotten better here. They've clearly gotten better. Here's another example of improvement. Right here. Okay. And this is again the 4-3 under. Okay. Watch. Look at, okay, look, right there. You see that? That is what I'm talking about. Pads low at an angle. Pads low at an angle. Look at that. And they get that push. All right? And the pocket collapses. Hey, the Cowboys got a completion, but I'm telling you, you know what? That was great defense. That pocket collapsed really well. I like that. What a difference technique makes. 2.4 fewer seconds, fewer yardage up and down the field. What a difference technique makes. That's a play on the song What a Difference a Day Makes. 24 little hours, right? Like the sun and the flowers. So, yeah, so anyway, yeah, college football's tomorrow. Got a lineup, man. So speaking of Tampa and Oakland, it seemed like yesterday when they were both in the Super Bowl 15 years ago. Yep, I was there. And Carr will not be playing. Cam won't be playing tomorrow. No. Where is Jordan? Jordan, where are you? Jordan? I did it. Now, Joseph Binsman asked, is San Francisco one of the biggest airports? Kind of have to wonder after that video. It's not one of the biggest in terms of land area, no. It is in terms of movements and operations. But Is it as big as Dallas in terms of land area? No. Is it as big as O'Hare in terms of land area? No. Is it as big as Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson Airport in terms of land area? No. In fact, Atlanta and Dallas are the largest. So no. And I was looking for Jordan Yancey. Jordan. So what'd you think, Jordan? Right? I liked the push they got. It was better this time against the Cowboys. I like the push. And note, they were collapsing the pocket. That made all the difference in the world. That defensive play versus games past, like night and day. Come on, give it up for me. I called it out first. Jordan says, I told you this is preseason defense. You get used to the real thing. Nah, Jordan, no. This is a technique thing. The alignment is the same. Go back to my previous videos. They played a 4-3 under. But it's the technique that's different. And I call that out first. You don't go into preseason saying, well, okay, all right, look, what you're saying to me, think about the logic of your statement as you've written it. You're saying to me that a team is going to go into preseason playing poor technique. Huh? That's basically what you're saying. No, I'm not seeing that. Your technique is your technique. It doesn't matter if it's how you block someone on offense, with the vertical set blocking or not, or what I call fight blocking of the Pittsburgh Steelers under Dan Rakatovich when he was offensive line coach and Chuck Noll was the head coach used. Man, go on and on and on about different ways of blocking or ways of rushing the passer. But you don't go into preseason saying, I'm going to deliberately employ poor technique. That's what you're saying to me. That makes no sense whatsoever. Eagles Nation says, how do you see Marshawn Lynch doing this season? I would say Marshawn Lynch is a 1,500-yard back this season. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. And yeah, Rick Rice, it is fundamentals. Carolina Man says, please look at the Panthers' schedule, and you'll see what I mean by the Panthers having an easier schedule this year. Okay, Carolina Man, I'll do that right now. Let's see here. Looking at the Panthers' schedule, Carolina, Panthers schedule 2017. All right, Panthers. They open the regular season at the 49ers. Then they host the Bills. Then the Saints. Then the Patriots. Now, if you're saying that, look, they start off with the Niners, the Bills, and the Saints. And as far as I'm concerned, the Niners are a trap game. Because they don't know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do on offense or defense. And they are basically getting the first thrust of the 49ers play. That's dangerous. No one has a book on the Niners under Kyle Shanahan. So when you're served up as the first team, you're right to be very afraid. You better have a great in-game adjustment system to cope with what they're going to do. Preseason gives you a view as to how they play their fundamentals. But in terms of what they call win, that's a different story. So so far, I see that as dangerous for them. They're playing the Niners right off. Ugh. There is one little hidden factor in there, in that Christian McCaffrey could use this as his incentive game and says, I could have been a Niner. They didn't draft me, and play his nuts off, all right? Bills, now the Saints, hey, that's a division battle. Patriots, wow. Okay, so let's take it. You've got the 49ers, the Bills, the Saints, and the Patriots. The Panthers could be staring at 500. If the Panthers go 4-0 with the Patriots, we know they're serious. So I don't understand how you could say that this is an easy schedule. I don't see that. I mean, I really don't see that. And Carolina Man points out that Cam Newton is undefeated against the Patriots. Yes, he is. Then they have the Lions. And the Lions are... I don't quite know how to read that team this year. The Eagles under Carson Wentz, and they are hosting the Eagles under Carson Wentz. I think that's a game that the Panthers will win. Then they have the Bears, who are... they're coming back, we hope, but I don't see them... I don't see the Bears beating the Panthers. The Buccaneers, and they're at Tampa. That's the war. And then they go, and then the Falcons come and see them. I'm not seeing anything easy in here. And then after that, they play the Finns, the Dolphins. No. The Jets, the way the Jets look right now, I would say the Panthers are clobbering. Saints again, then the Vikings. They end with the Packers and the Bucks. I don't see this as being an easy schedule at all. I mean, I don't. Okay, it doesn't have the AFC powerhouses in it, like the Steelers, right? Or the Raiders, or... And then it doesn't have... Yeah, it doesn't have the Cowboys on the schedule, but then... Or the Giants. Okay? And I could see from that perspective what you're talking about. But overall, given that these are teams that are on the upswing, the Niners are on the upswing, the Buccaneers are certainly on the upswing, the Falcons are, even though they're NFC champions, arguably still on the upswing. Their defense is faster and improved. I don't see this as, and I don't see this. I don't see that as easy. So, Carolina Man says, but the Panthers are a good team. Rick Rice says Cam is a crybaby. But he has a good reason to cry. Eagles Nation says, who do you see as winning the AFC West this year, the Chiefs or the Raiders? I see more the Chiefs than the Raiders, but if the Raiders can keep up that defensive play, but that's a toss-up, okay? Last year I predicted the Chiefs. This year, with the addition of Marshawn Lynch and with a more systemic offense, I think the Raiders have improved to a point where they can be said to be in a position to challenge the Chiefs for AFC West supremacy. So, that's a toss-up. Rick Rice says the Jets are going 0-16. You heard it here first. I disagree with you there. But I love Todd Bowles as a leader. I am concerned about his non-systemic decision-making. Come in, establish a system, get your players in it, keep them there, and move forward. But what he does is he's got Chan Gailey, which is his first mistake, talking about Todd Bowles. He's got Chan Gailey as his offensive coordinator. At least he did last year. Let me make sure that I'm not mistaking Gailey. Making a mistake here. There, Chan Gailey he's a former American football coach. Okay. So maybe... Oh, he retired. Okay. So they retired. That was good. So Chan Gailey was the offensive coordinator for the Jets. Let's see who they have now. Is it Morningwig? NY Jets. Wait a minute. NY Jets. Offensive coordinator. John Morton is the offensive coordinator. Okay. And John Morton, this is his first year. And he was the Saints wide receivers coach. So basically, he's now, as to whether or not he's bringing in, I haven't looked at the Jets offense, so I don't know if they have wholesale. I don't know if they brought Morton in and let him change the offense wholesale, or brought him in and said, learn our terminology and call a different set of plays. let's see here. There's one way to find out. NY Jets. NY Jets. See NFL Network. Let me see here. Go back. NFL.com. NFL.com. Rick Rice says, what? No, not you, Rick Rice. So I was reacting to something else. NFL.com. By the way, don't forget to invest. Even if it's super chat, where you can just put in $2, or the other way. The other way. Let's see here. Where is this? I'm looking at this weirdly because YouTube has this new web page design, and it causes the page to render a little bit slower than I would like with respect to my connection. So that's hence the look on my face. Okay. Invest. Don't sleep on the Chargers. Rick Rice says, yeah, the Raiders are taking it for sure. We would have won it last year. Carolina says, thank you. I'm a new subscriber. Thank you for your live stream. I'm going to bed. Hey, good night, Carolina Panther, because it's 2:10 in the East, right? Because I just came from back there. If you're in the inn, and I'll come back tomorrow. We'll be live streaming. Yes, sir. You got it. Thank you for subscribing. 2 a.m. It's late. Now, let me take a look at the New York Jets here and their offense. I am looking Philadelphia versus the New York Jets. That's Thursday, all right? That's not what I'm looking for. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. New York Jets lost to the New York Giants by a point. But in so doing, the New York Jets did something. They scored 31 points. Ooh, let's check out the Game Center and see what the Jets are up to. And what we get here is we get here. We got the Giants touchdown, which I don't want. I just want to see what the Jets offense looks like under Mr. Johnny Morton. And I want to come up with a Rick Rice style name for him. Here are the Jets backed up on their own 5-yard line, actually 3, and they run and they get stuffed in the backfield because they call one of those zone blocking schemes. And okay, well, so far Mr. Morton's not starting off very well because, I love the defensive line surge by the Giants, and in so doing, the defensive end gets through on the push and boom. And not only that, they didn't even have the right. You know what? If you're gonna run off tackle, at least make absolutely sure that you on offense have the lineup and the leverage advantage. And what I mean by that is let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this just takes me off. Look at this. This is the defensive end that Mitchell made the play. See where he is with respect to the tackle, right? There's a guard and there's a tackle. He's slightly outside shoulder. And then watch what the tight end and the wing do, all right? Okay. Get off the ball. And okay, they missed the block right there. The tackle missed the block on the end. And that was it. That's dead to rights. Completely dead to rights. Completely dead to rights. I mean, the end let him, I mean, the tackle just let him just blow right by him inside. 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 And he did that. Okay, look at this. Okay? And look at that. Boom. Boom. Now, my point is this. Why, if you're backed up down there like that, why call that kind of play to begin with? Sideways where the pursuit, the defensive line catches up to you. You call a dive play. Get out there, all right? Then they turn around and do a pick six. Wow. The Jets did, all right? So this offense, oh yeah, okay, I gotta look more at it. What I'm seeing right now is fixable, but not good. And it's conventional. It's conventional. There's nothing about the Jets offense that says, yeah, it's preseason. They're not gonna shoot their big guns into the regular season. Overall, I don't have enough information to process how this new offensive coordinator is going to do. I need to get some more. I need to get a full game under my belt. I'll look at some other games coming up to get a better sense of what he's going to do. I'm just looking for the fundamentals and the logic. But really, the tackle should not have let the end beat him inside like that. Look, if you think about it, he's running around right end. You really want the end to get hooked inside, right? Hook him. So the tackle just like he went to sleep. Let the guy just blow right by him. Hey, if he's inside like that, just push him, give him a little shove, and make him trip. This dude blew right inside of him and down the running back for a loss in the end zone. Oh, how embarrassing. All right, folks, let me get back to enough of that. Let me get back to the other stuff. Raider Kuko said, chat disconnected. Oh. Video playback interrupted. Please try again. I didn't know that. Let's see here. Server not found. That's odd. What happened here? It is still recording me. Let me see here. I didn't know that was going on. Stuff. I'm loading page. What's going on here? Now it's back. Okay. What is this server not found thing? An error occurred. Playback ID. This is odd. I guess you guys are there. Hey, anybody typing anything? This is interesting. What happened? Server. This is the same problem I had before with the hold on a second. Personal hotspot. Let's see here. I don't see anybody typing anything. Why that happened, I don't know. Problem loading page. Let's see here. Buffering issue. This is still recording. Okay, problem loading page. That is odd. I wonder what happened. Well, something clearly happened. I don't know what. Auto replay, YouTube auto replay, YouTube watch. What's going on here? There's that. Wi-Fi. USB not connected. Somehow I got disconnected. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Okay. Oh, so there's Rick Rice. Let's place a wager. If the Jets win the game, you'll donate $25. Okay. That's a deal. Now we're back. Videos, YouTube, history. Let's see here. Now we're back. Okay. I wonder why that happened. All right. Oh, you're good. You guys are good on the stream, but whatever's going on my end, I couldn't see you guys. It was saying server interruption, all that. So I didn't stop talking because I noticed the clock was still counting the minutes, right? Which means that I was still being recorded. So when I realized that, I just kept it going. Great. So Rick Rice says, let's place a wager, Zinni. If the Jets win a game, I'll donate one game. Now Rick Rice says one game. I'll donate $25 to your company. But if they go 0-6, you have to donate to a nonprofit of my choice. You're getting me 5-1 odds, though. I'm like, no, look. First of all, just donate, man. Don't donate. Invest. Invest. This is not a donation. It's an investment. See, Rick Rice, you never invested to know you get shares back. Just put in $2. You get shares back. This is not a donation. All right? No. And I'm not going to take the bet because I want it drilled into your cranium that this is an investment. You're not donating to my company. You get shares back, okay? DeMarcus Davis says, stream is fine. It's the Matrix. It has you. Next time, take the blue pill. Actually, I have a blue pill, and I did take it. So, no, Rick Rice, you're chicken. You're chicken and invest in my company. Not even $2. Chicken or cheap? I haven't figured out which one. But anyway, invest. Everybody else has. Bam, there's $30. Invest in there. 30. Bam! Right there. Now, shifting gears here. Thank you, John Marks. John Marks, hey, John Marks, how you doing? Absolutely. Invest. You know what? I'll even take the 30 tag off. That you can invest $2. Bingo. All right. Invest. Come on, John Marks. How you like my chicken sound? Hey, John Marks. Love for you to do so. You know? Although, man, I'm getting after you, too, now that you said it, because you always say I'm going to invest soon. You said that a month ago. You said that a few weeks ago. I'm waiting for Godot. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Moving along. I know you did. I know. John, I'm just kidding. Well, sort of. Anyway, the whole point is, I know you did. You know what it is? It's 2:23 in the morning and I'm on the West Coast. Where it's not 2:23 in the morning. It is 11:24. Yeah. And Rick Rice, hey, Rick Rice says he'll invest when he believes stocks is rising, but all of the other investors have gotten the notice regarding the value of the company, where it's at. Had you been an investor, you would have known that and known where your shares were going. So knock it off. All right. So yeah. Next. Got 16 watching. It's 224. Oh, and I will... Oh, let's see here. Just want to check something regarding the Nevada Independent. And sometimes they have news about the Raiders that's worth, taking a look at, right? And right now, this time, no. And Clark County school trustees approved budget cuts, face even larger deficit. Well, Clark County school system is in trouble. And you gotta believe that's going to have some impact on the Raiders project going forward. It just has to. It really does. Let's see here. About last week, overtime for O.J. Simpson hearing, Republicans discuss recall effort, a Modi on government shutdown. Okay. And Adam Laxalt had a Basque fry. Nothing about the Raiders. Nothing. I've never heard of a Basque fry before. Have you? Alright, so nothing there about the Raiders in Nevada, Las Vegas. Let's see if there's something on the website of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Let's see here. Raiders personal seat license information. And next meeting is September 14th. That's 2 weeks from now. Meeting info. Click on that. There's no new document posted. The authority has the following dates: September 14th, October 12th, November 9th, and December 14th for this year. That's what's remaining. Okay. All right, folks. It is 2:26. Let's see here. Nathan Elliott says, what is the current value of the stock? Well, let me tell you that. I'll tell you that right now, and I'll open up the spreadsheet. And so let's see here. John Mark says, wow, sounds like Vegas fans are losing to Oakland. All right. Cancel. There. Now, I'm not treating this as an investor call, so if you have any questions, you can send me an email. I'm going to answer the one question, but the other one I'm not going to answer because I don't want this last year to go in that direction and talk more about that. That's not my intent here. But Rick Rice, you ought to be investing, Considering the number of times we let you get away with certain things, you could at least put some money in. I'm just saying. So you have no leg to stand on, pal, at all. None. And no question to ask either. So I'm just letting you know that. That's how I feel. Okay? That's how I feel. So a lot of people who've invested up to $500 to this. And that's it. So, yeah, I'm a little salty about how some folks are here. And I'm being very blunt, too. I'm being blunt. Now, okay. We have 1,000, we have percentage, and the value that I own is, well, I'm not going to disclose that right here. Um, I will say that $1 a share, basically, if you own $4 of the company, that would be 0.0001 share, 0.018 share of total value owned. Okay, or you would own the shares that you own would be 0.0187. And you would say, what? The reason why I'm doing it is that way is this way because if you've ever had work with an angel investor, the angel investor puts in $25. Okay. Oh, and by the way, Nathan, you're asking a question as if the shares. Let me get to that in a second. When I've had an angel investor, I give them stock. If you give me $2, you get a percentage of the company, that share. So right now, the total value of the company is at $221,258.40. Actually, it's over that. I need to do a recalculation. When we started this, it was at $201,000. So there it is. We have right now we have 1,000 shares total, but you can buy a percentage of a share. Okay. All right. So it's not hard to figure out what one share equals. All right. So there you go. But over the time this effort started, the value of Zenny62 Media has increased over 10%. That's over the last 4 months. So there you go. So there you go. All right. So yeah, but again, that's a basis that we're using. And then when I find an appropriate secondary market, that obviously is going to change. I haven't found one that I want to focus on putting us into yet. That's inexpensive. I found some that are expensive. I can't afford to put us in there. All right. There's one in the Netherlands. That's the problem. That's why I'm like, okay. But we'll get there. Now, if someone turns around and says, okay, Zenny, I'll finance that. Great. Now, okay. So, let's see here. I have no idea. All right, where are we going with this? Joe Flacco is getting better. Joe Flacco, how did Joe Flacco do last game? I'm wondering. So Rick Rice, let me ask you, is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? I'm just asking. Is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? Hello? John Mark says Clark County schools will be bankrupt in 5 years. I know Flacco's injured, but is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? Is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? Let's check on something regarding Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco. Let's see here. Now, ESPN calls Joe Flacco a Tier 3 quarterback. Tier 3, okay? Tier 3, all right? Now, he is also, according to BaltimoreRavens.com, throwing again. He's nearing a practice return that's as of August 29th. And John Harbaugh promises that Joe Flacco will be ready for the Ravens opener. So again, I ask you, is Joe Flacco an elite quarterback? Hello? Rick Rice says, once elite, always elite. All right, got it. Raider fan says he was an elite quarterback. Nathan Elliott says something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Raider fan says Play does not fade with age, and some players, not all age like fine wine. Oh, and let's see here. Let's see, I'm just checking something. Education. All right. Now, let's see here. 2003. Okay. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Nathan is saying. Oh, Nathan, just FYI, Oakland Public Schools have been bankrupt twice in 13 years. Sorry. Okay. They just haven't. So, don't know where you got that from. Maybe some sort of conservative publication. Didn't know what the heck it was talking about, like the Daily Caller. Probably. Anyway, but moving along, there are some people who think that they know and they don't know. Now, we got, so, sad but true Raiders fan. What do Raiders fans say? Rick Rice says, Flacco is a 30th ballot Hall of Famer. I agree with you. Nathan Elliott answered the question about what? Joe Flacco? I don't know. I'm not paying attention to Nathan Elliott because Nathan Elliott's just plain wrong. So moving along. Nathan Elliott's just flapping in the wind. So whatever. We've got back to the point of Brian Hoyer will be the breakout player of the year. Is there a designation for breakout player of the NFL season? If there isn't, there should be. And when there is, I predict that Brian Hoyer will wear that mantle. I think Brian Hoyer is going to surprise a lot of people in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I really do. I really do. It'll be a lot of fun to watch Brian Hoyer at work in considering what Shanahan's got planned for him. John Marks was predicting the Cleveland Browns go 12-4. That would, you know what? That would have to be based on their defense and Myles Jarrett. Myles Jarrett. Definitely Myles Jarrett. So, Rick Rice says, I agree. Hoyer is going to have a good year. I think Niners are going to surprise some people. Yep, they are. Just typing some stuff here. Let's see here. We've got. I'm just typing it. I'm concentrating, typing something here. Let's see here. Let's see here. We've got. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. Joe Flacco confirmed. Joe Flacco. You know, Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback. He's got a ring. Joe Flacco, I'm looking at these statistics here, folks, all right? Listen to this about Joe Flacco. Listen to this. Stats, news, videos, highlights. I was looking at this up. That's why I was so quiet. He is, his overall rating is 83.5 from last year. His career, 84.5. He's thrown for 32,639 yards. Just a little more than Matt Stafford. And through his career, trying to get that proper game spread, they don't have that listing. There it is, complete stats. They need to redesign that page, but I digress. All right. He started 2008 year, 2,900 yards passing, and since then he has never had a year where he's been less than 3,000 yards in passing. By contrast, Matt Stafford has never had a year since his first two where he was below 4,000 yards in passing. Now, last year was the first year that Flacco topped 4,000 yards in passing. And he threw for just 20 touchdowns. Now, his best year in terms of touchdown performance was 2014. He threw 27 touchdowns. So, as I look at Joe Flacco, he's definitely got elite numbers here. And his production's on the upswing overall. His passer rating went from 83.1 to 83.5. Ooh, big increase. Ooh, giant increase for Joe Flacco. But anyway, the whole point is that he's not on the downswing, all right? And he put up some gaudy numbers last year. Well, except touchdowns. I mean, in order for him to be really productive, you'd like to see him in a scheme that gets him to the level of 30 to 40 to 50 touchdowns. Okay? This under 30 jazz, forget it. So, now, Joseph Binsman says, definitely agree that Rick Rice, it's already ridiculous that Cutler got signed before Colin. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, Rick Rice says we should have taken Reuben Foster. We should have taken Cam Robinson. In fact, speaking of Cam Robinson, hold on a second. Cam, that's the other Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson in news. Cam Robinson looked really, really good in his NFL debut. And that was, yep. Cam Robinson is holding it down on the Jaguars' left side, okay? So look. While the Raiders diddle around with Gary and Conley's issues, Cam Robinson has emerged to the player that I said he was going to be. He is the anchor for the left side of the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line. Okay? I mean, you know, all right? This is it. I mean, he just is. This is great. This is great. And so, I mean, I'm shaking my head because I'm just disappointed. I'm so disappointed that Reggie McKenzie didn't pull the trigger and take him. I think Cam Robinson would have single-handedly put this whole Donald Penn jazz to rest before it ever started, all right? Before it ever started, okay? And I mean, listen to this. This is written by BigCountry.com. Leonard Fournette stole the headlines after the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the New England Patriots in their preseason debut. He scored his first NFL touchdown with ease. He said playing in the SEC made the NFL transition easier. But Cam Robinson played every bit as good in his NFL debut. Hell, he may have even been better. The Jaguars kept Robinson in far longer than Fournette, 6 series and 39 plays to be exact. Keelan Cole and Corey Grant were storing touchdowns before new head coach Doug Marrone decided to sit the rookie left tackle. Wow. I mean, this is it, okay? I mean, this man, he is every bit. I think he made a mistake though, as far as Doug Marrone's the offensive line coach. So at any rate, in fact, you know what? Jaguars. Now, Jaguars head coach's see here. Let's see here. Tom Coughlin. And see what happened to him. And so anyway, Marone, what I'm looking for is to see if Marone had announced that Cam Robinson is starting. That's what I'm searching for. I've got Marone, then Cam Robinson. Cam. Let's see here. News. Jug. Okay. Doug Marone challenges offensive line again by picking Blake Bortles. Okay. So Blake Bortles over Chad Henne. And players got the message. Let me look at the Jaguars. Yeah, I'm being stupid. Jacksonville Jaguars roster. Jaguars. Roster. I was looking for those, comments that people always leave about, well, the coach always makes about, well, I chose him as starter because he's da-da-da-da, right? Team player roster. Roster, Jaguars.com. And we've got age, experience, college. Depth chart is what I'm really looking for. Jacksonville Jaguars depth chart. Depth chart. 2017. There it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. We've got. Yep. Take a look at this. This is exactly what I was looking for, folks. So while the Raiders have been diddling around, bam! Cam Robinson's the starter at left tackle. Plug and play. Jacksonville Jaguars depth chart. That's what I was looking for, all right? He could have been a Raider. And what bothers me is I personally told Reggie McKenzie at the NFL annual meeting, Cam Robinson's the guy you have to pick at 24. Even over Reuben Foster. Because I'm still not convinced that the Raiders' problems on defense are related to talent so much as scheme and technique. So all this yelling and screaming I've been doing about the defensive line surge, it looks like it's finally taking hold. Let's see what happens. So I disagree, Karen is around. Was Karen here? Karen, hey Karen, how are you? Karen, you're up late. Rick Rice says, hey, the tackle we drafted, Dave Sharp, is actually really good. He'll be our future left tackle. He's huge. Yeah, but you know what? Cam Robinson is the guy that you pick when you want someone to challenge and start today. And given what Donald Penn did last year and giving up that sack, and this would have helped, and plus the fact that he's 34, I'm just being honest, the action of drafting Cam Robinson would have served notice. It would have given the Raiders instant depth at left tackle. It would have forced Donald Penn to not even consider holding out for more money. Because if he did, what would have happened is what we see with the Jacksonville. The Raiders would automatically have been able to pencil in Cam Robinson in that position of starting left tackle. That's all she wrote. Okay? So, no. There's a reason that Cam Robinson was projected as a first-round pick, and Dave Sharp was not and wasn't. Okay? Like, among other things, that's the blind eye thing. Just saying. We got Rick Rice says there's no way we would have started over Penn on day one. No, Rick Rice, yes, he would have started over Donald Penn week one. Cam Robinson would have started over Donald Penn week one. Okay? Period. End of story. Cam Robinson would have beaten Donald Penn for the starting left tackle job of the Oakland Raiders for day one. I know it's hard to stomach. I know it's hard to hear. But I'm telling you, he would have done it. Period. I don't care about, Cam, you're saying Donald Penn gave up 2 sacks, actually, just correcting you on that. But my point is, so what? Cam Robinson would have beat him. Okay? So no. Absolutely not. The line isn't deep. Forget it. Cam Robinson is the guy. The man. In fact, do we play the Browns this year? Let me check on that. Oakland Raiders schedule. If we do, because if we do, what I'm looking for is schedule. I'm looking for the times when the Raiders will face some of these, at least one of the star defensive ends that are coming out. But Seahawks, I don't see the Browns on the schedule. Okay, so in other words, we don't get to see the Raiders being hounded by Myles Jarrett. All right? Now, we do get to see the Raiders host the Redskins, and their pick Ryan, Redskins, Washington Redskins, just checking something, 2017, boom, okay, and so that would be, we have, Jonathan Allen is defensive tackle. So we'll see how the Raiders do against Jonathan Allen, because Jonathan Allen can play some in too. All right? And I think and that's going to be something else. And of course, we have the Broncos and Von Miller. And we have the Chargers with Joey Bosa, but he plays the opposite side. Although these Chargers may choose to move Bosa around, so keep an eye on that. That's something to keep an eye on. And you have the Bills, you have the Dolphins with this great pass rush. So the Raiders are in for a test this year, starting with the Seahawks. Well, excuse me. I'm starting with I can't say starting with the Titans, but I can say starting with the Jets and their defensive line. The Jets and the Redskins and the Broncos. That's a 3-banger right there. So we'll get a taste of what the Raiders' offensive line is made of real quick. But I'm sorry, Cam Robinson is a beast. Complete beast. Rick Rice says, so what do we need more right now? An offensive tackle or middle linebacker? A different defensive technique. That's what we need more of, all right? We need a different technique first. Okay? And hopefully the Cowboys game was an aberration, and it was really the Raiders paying attention to defensive line technique based on my yelling on social media, which started the whole thing. Okay? Let's see how that plays. Because if they can get that kind of push without Khalil Mack, and they did, I feel much better about the Raiders' future. I really do. I really do. Because we get that kind of push, it's going to make Marquise Lee's job a lot easier at linebacker. Much easier. Much easier. Now, I would have liked to have seen the Raiders get Cam Robinson and either Jabril Peppers or Foster. In other words, have 2 picks in the first round. That's what I would have liked to have seen the Raiders do. Because you have some bona fide playmakers. Well, you have bona fide playmakers at every level in the first round every year. But I'm talking about specific to the Raiders' needs at where they were picking. They could have stood pat at 24 and had Robinson. Okay. Get Robinson and then trade back into the first round and then turn around and get Reuben Foster or Jabril Peppers. That's the kind of move I would like to have seen them do. They didn't do that. And I'm sorry. No, I think that whole fire, I have to say, that's really ignorant. The whole fire Ken Norton Jr. thing is ignorant because, you know what, it's like, see speaker, hear speaker, does speaker work? That's not how you evaluate whether or not a defense is working well. You don't say, well, I'm going to fire this guy. None of you talks about scheme or technique. You always want to point out a person. Why are you guys so gullible? I'm asking you, why are you guys so gullible like that? Man, it really pisses me off. If I put you on a whiteboard, what chalk? Could you draw out a defense and how the defense should be played? I mean, in detail. I can. Can you? Don't talk to me about this person. Whoa, okay. All right, I'm sick of it. All right? Well, Rick, I'm asking you a question. Guy who's not using his real name. Can you draw a defense on a whiteboard? Put it on a video. This is the 21st century. Put it on a video, okay? What do you mean who's giving the scheme? You're drawing the scheme up. I want to see if you can draw your own scheme. Okay? If you don't understand it, just admit you don't understand. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay? Keith Fahnhorst, when he was linebacker of the 49ers, and I had a conversation, and I said that the coach is at a Super Bowl party, and I said the coach puts the coach lays the canvas upon which the athlete plays. And Keith Fahnhorst said that I really got it, and I put that better than anyone else could have ever done in his entire career. He said that to me. Okay? Keith Fahnhorst. We appreciated that. Rick Rice says, it's Kinsey's scheme that's failing? What do you mean Kinsey's scheme? Kinsey who? Kenny. He said Kenny. Who are you talking about? The scheme is Del Rio. When you say scheme, you mean the defensive formation? I'm talking about the technique problem. The technique problem, which looks like it's on its way to being solved. In terms of getting off the ball. When they get off the ball, they lean in, keep their shoulders and pads low, keep their body pushing forward. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. All right? So, John Marks says Raiders won with 34 defense. But, John, he's not addressing the question. Okay? I want Rick Rice to admit that he doesn't understand what it means to draw up a defense on paper and direct where players go and what they do. Because that powers everything. Everything. And it's okay to say, I don't know. That's cool. But what I get tired of are people coming up with this simplistic, CJ and run view of football. So that's my point. Ken's responsibility to make sure their technique is solid right. No, it's Jack Del Rio's responsibility. Jack Del Rio's the head coach. Okay? You find me one. This is the internet. You're on the internet now. You're typing away. Find me one example where Jack Del Rio said that Ken Norton Jr. designs the defense himself. Find that. Okay? Find that. All right? Okay? I'm just asking you to find that. Okay? And meanwhile, I'm typing Jack Del Rio, all right? Rick Rice says, I play football, I know schemes. You don't act like it. I asked you a question. Can you draw a scheme? Okay? And then I asked you another question about the difference between scheme. Now I'm asking you know what the difference between a scheme and a technique is, right? Because I can have different schemes in the same technique. Okay? Okay? Jack Del Rio. Oh, by the way, and Rick Rice, this is where you're wrong. Teaching the Seattle defense has nothing to do with teaching a technique. The Seattle defense is a scheme, not a technique. I can take a technique, I can take a way of rushing the passer, and I can translate it from one particular type of defense to the other. Okay? Just because you played the game doesn't mean you know the game. And what I mean by that is this. You know what someone taught you. But until you put together a game plan yourself and the plays yourself, Michael Singletary will tell you this because he is experiencing this problem. He has had to learn the game of football from an analytical standpoint. It's one thing to play one position, but to understand the interrelationship of positions and how to assign them is entirely different. Entirely different, okay? Jack Del Rio defensive philosophy. All right. Is Jack Del Rio hinting a shift in defensive philosophy? Denver defensive philosophy. I go back to Denver, all right? Denver defensive philosophy. This is 2014. And let's see here. Jack Del Rio has been trying to install a defensive philosophy where he wants to use this is it. Listen to this. This is it. Basically, I found this article at Mile High Report, which explains that when Jack Del Rio was with the Denver Broncos, he was trying to install Seattle defensive philosophies back then, which basically lead to Pete Carroll, which basically lead to USC, which basically lead to what? The 4-3 under that I've talked about before. So Jack Del Rio didn't bring in Ken Norton Jr. to teach a philosophy he didn't know. He brought him in to reflect the philosophy he already had. And you're wrong, Rick Rice. You are wrong. See, you want to believe, you want to have a prejudice, all right? I don't. You want to have a prejudice. You want to maintain a prejudice. That is, this guy is bad. You know, maybe because he's black, which could be. My point is this. That's wrong. If you're truly honest, you know the head coach sets the tone. But you still want to blame this guy that you won't hear anything else. That's on you. That's on you. All right? So, that's on you. Nope. So Rick Rice, who's not using his real name, does not get it at all. If Rick Rice does research himself, because I've already done it sitting right here, okay? In fact, folks, I'm saying I did it, but for those of you who may have doubts, let me bring you over to Mile High Report. This is from 2014, all right? Come with me. Come with me under the sea. Watch this. Bam! Okay. We hear a lot in today's NFL about the Seattle Seahawks defense and how. And now, what am I reading? I'm reading this. That's Jack Del Rio's Denver Defensive Philosophy, March 12th, 2014, 8:43 p.m. All right, Mountain Standard Daylight Time. All right, I'm skipping over. We hear a lot in today's NFL about the Seattle Seahawks defense and how, since we live in a copycat league, everyone's trying to be like them. Never is this more applied to the team we love, perhaps due to the pounding we took in the Super Bowl from the very team. Many a comment has appeared from pundits and fans that would lead us to believe they were simply following a trend, a sort of if you can't beat them, join them mentality. If you look at our free agent acquisitions, this would seem to be the case, right? Before diving into the acquisitions themselves, I want to take a look at this ugly and misguided concept. How do the Seahawks do defense? Simple. Press man on the outside, a deep free safety to go along with a box strong safety, and a four-man rush that can get home. Is this some new magic formula that the Seahawks discovered? No. It simply put the simplest, most efficient, this is a very simplistic way of describing the Seahawks defense. I wouldn't do this at home, okay? But I digress. He just goes on to describe it, okay? And then he says, who else do we know that prefers this type of defense? We have no further to look than our own Jack Del Rio, who has been trying to install this defensive philosophy since day one on the job in our new signees, okay? So, and he runs across this with Talib and everything else, all right? So my point is, Jack Del Rio was identified, all right? Jack Del Rio was identified as a proponent of the Seahawks system long before he became the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. So he didn't bring in Ken Norton Jr. to teach a system that he didn't already know, okay? There. He brought Ken Norton Jr. in to teach what he wants, what Del Rio wants. Now, teaching a scheme is one thing. I'm telling you where to go. But teaching a technique stays the same, or should, from scheme to scheme to scheme to scheme to scheme. Okay? That's why you can have a guy like Floyd Peters who teaches a particular type of, it's a move almost like an arm bar, all right? In his coaching, the late Floyd Peters, he died in, I believe it was 2008. And his defenses were single gap. So the scheme was single gap, but the technique within it, were moves that caused defensive linemen to basically blow by the offensive lineman and get to the quarterback. His Minnesota Vikings teams, when he was defensive coordinator or defensive line coach, set sack records during the 70s and the 80s. That's what I'm talking about. That's Sergeant. They used to call Floyd Peters Sergeant Rock. I got here, Rock. Yeah, Rock. Yeah, Rock. Yeah, Rock. Sergeant Rock. Floyd Peters. So, Jack Del Rio could have gotten anybody that had experience playing the Seattle Seahawks defense to help install the defense. But it's under Del Rio's philosophy. That's far different from Del Rio saying to Ken Norton Jr., look, you teach me, I don't know anything about this, you have complete control. Ken Norton Jr. does not have complete control over the Raiders defense. He does not have that. Jack Del Rio has basically found a clone of himself as defensive coordinator. Now, the main problem they've carried into this is this defensive line technique problem. And I hope that by my hammering, no, I know, they've straightened it out. Bravo! Bravo! So, there. Like I say, folks, invest. Invest. There. Yeah, we have 20 now. We have 20 watching now. Pretty good. Pretty good. In fact, I'm going to have some more fun with this little 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 thing, little ditty called Jack and Diane. A little ditty. Oh, by the way, here's something. This is February 6, 2015. Raiders' new defensive coordinator, Ken Norton Jr. says he will make defensive play calls, but Jack Del Rio will have some say. Ken Norton Jr. to make play calls with Jack Del Rio involve grooming him, which is what I've said before. Jack Del Rio is grooming Ken Norton Jr. So he's not going to push out a guy that he's basically teaching. This is 2015. 2015, 2016, here we go, third year. He's grooming him. So you don't take a guy that you're grooming and saying, come up with anything you want to. It's right here, all right? It's right here. Okay? And by the way, I have said that the defense that Norton has come in, that has been brought in to basically teach the players, being the Del Rio clone, is the same one that Pete Carroll used, not just at Seattle, but at USC. Both Ken Norton Jr. and Jack Del Rio have played in that defense. Okay? In that defense. Now, the technique that they learned in terms of pass rushing, they can change that one. Now that's gotten better. Thank God. Norton Jr. said Del Rio will be very much involved. And he says, well, there's no question anytime you have a defensive head coach, he's always going to be involved, said Norton Jr. I've had that all my years with Pete Carroll. They're certainly going to be involved. Very informed and kind of leading the way. There's no question about that. Certainly with Pete Carroll being my mentor and Jack Del Rio, a guy that we played together, and we kind of grew up on the same type of ideas on how to attack offense and how to protect yourself on defense. I have certain ideas that I have that I know work. He has certain ideas that he has no work, and we're going to bring them together and obviously make them the Raider way. There hasn't been a formal discussion, but just in my early meetings with him, his plan is to continue to groom me, and I'll be making the calls. They're old friends. They're old friends. So anyone who says that Ken Norton Jr. should be fired has no idea what they're talking about, because if you're going to fire anybody, it's got to be Jack Del Rio and not Ken Norton Jr. Okay? That's it. So, hey, look, all right? So that's it. So that's it. Now these guys saying, why do you think they hired Pagano? What are you saying? Okay? What are you saying? You're sort of making my point for me. Jack Del Rio hired Pagano. It's Jack Del Rio's defense, not Ken Norton Jr. Okay? But Ken Norton Jr. is being groomed by Jack Del Rio, so he's not going to wholesale get rid of him. Also, it buttresses my point. It's not Ken Norton Jr.'s defense. It's Jack Del Rio's defense. So you're proving my point for me. Ugh. Golly. Okay? And Steve Collins was right. There's no way. Okay? All right? And Karen says, does Jack Del Rio trust Ken's play calling? I'm trying to learn. Hey, Karen, that's a good question. Ken Norton Jr. is being groomed by Del Rio. So he's in the position of defensive coordinator. And he'll call a play. Del Rio will suggest something. Yeah. But what I'm talking about is, and the Raiders' overall problem, isn't scheme. It's technique. And all you have to do, Karen, is look at the way the defensive line has rushed the passer over the past 3 games and how it was different for the Cowboys game versus the first 2. Because, in fact, I was complaining about it. And Baus and a number of people have pointed to, hey, we've had this discussion about how the Raiders aren't using the proper technique. And then Matt Millen on television weighed in and basically echoed exactly what I was saying, causing a number of people to say, hey, that guy has been looking at Zenny's videos. So, yeah. So, Rick Rice says, what's Ken Norton's title? What's Jack Del Rio's title? You tell me. As a guy who claims he played football, you should know the head coach has final say. All right, so you're not making any sense. 0 sense at all. Okay? So, yeah. So, Steve Collins says it's only preseason and techniques will fall into place. The key word is preseason. Well, see, my point, though, is that when you have one good technique, it sticks with you regardless of whether it's preseason or regular season. The Baltimore Ravens of 2000. Third game against the Jets, I saw them. They came off the ball so fast on defense, it wasn't funny. I called a friend of mine and I said, watch this team. They're going to be something special on defense. They posted one of the best defenses in NFL history that year. And, I might add, they went to the Super Bowl. And I might add, they won it. Okay? Football is not complicated. You can make it complicated, but it's not complicated. What you have to look for is leverage. Karen, I'm directing this to you. I'm not paying attention to anybody else right now. What I mean by leverage is who has the low pad. Whose pads are lower than the other, and who gets the drive block. If you've ever been on a blocking sled, you get low, and then you go up, and you push up, and you drive with your thighs and your calves and your toes. Okay? That's bottom up, push out. That fundamental fact is difference between understanding that is difference between success and failure on the field. That's a fact. Everybody knows. Ask my friend David Shaw, who actually used one of my plays against UCLA last year. Yes, the same David Shaw who's head coach at Stanford. So take that, Rick Rice. I'll bet you've never had one red head coach that used one of your plays in one of his big games at any level. Ha! So, yeah. And I have that on video. Okay. So, yeah. So. All right. So, it is now officially 3:18 a.m. and I've milked enough out of this to now it is time to successfully go to bed, because this is now exactly, that's about what I want in terms of hours. All right, so there we go. All right, everybody, good night, and you can bet your last money this has all been a Stone Gas, honey. That's right. Good night, everybody. See you later. Oh, and by the way, one thing to always remember. The dealer always wins.